Oh yeah, that's pretty intense.
Maximum or bring it home?
Maximum.
It's wild. It's exhilarating and definitely unpredictable. It is rallying. Welcome to the 2010 Australian Rally Championship. It's a bumper turnout in Busselton, 3 hours south of Perth, for the 26th consecutive running of the Quick Forest Rally and the second round of the National Championship. After a drama-packed round one in Tasmania, Scott Pedder emerged as the dominant force to be reckoned with. Certainly he put the reigning champion on notice that he wouldn't have it all his own way this season. Pedder's perceived advantage on the tarmac gave him the perfect start to the season. Whether it continues will be answered here in WA, where the teams and their cars hit the gravel for the first time. And especially so for Eli Evans and Glen in the Honda Civic Type R. While the playing field was more even on the bitumen, how the European-developed two-wheel drive will handle the ball-bearing surface of the Quick Forest Rally remains to be seen. Back in 2010 is local Darren Windus driving the proven Neil Bates-prepared Toyota S2000. Windus and co-driver John Allen proved they had the measure of their competition last year and will be looking to do so again this weekend. Nathan Quinn arrives from New South Wales for his first assault on the WA roads in his newly prepared Mitsubishi Evo 9. Quinn, with David Green alongside, is campaigning the 2010 season. Several local teams have stepped up to the challenge of the ARC this round, including Roman Watkins, who recently won the first round of the state championship using the ARC control tyre.
You know, there's been a lot of publicity about the control tyre Kumo for the series, for the national series. We wanted to see, you know, how it performed, and so we chose to run the first event essentially as a test event. We didn't approach it thinking that we were going to win, and we found them really good.
This part of the world is very familiar to multiple Australian rally champion Ross Dunkerton, who lived here for many years, competing in both the Quick Forest Rally and Rally Australia.
We're here in WA in the beautiful town of Busselton for the second round of the ARC. Now, the Quick Forest Rally is the first time that the drivers get a chance to drive on gravel. There are actually 4 events in one. There's the Australian Championship, there's the State and Clubman Championship, and for the first time ever, we see the introduction of motorbikes. Now, this event will give those bike riders a chance to hone their skills to be able to go on and compete in events like the Australian Safari and, of course, the world-famous Dakar.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We heard about it towards the end of last year that there's a possibility that they might run the bikes with the cars. And Gary Connell, our team owner and manager, he said to Coke and I, would we like to, would be interested? And we both said, yeah, it sounds like a blast. 2 long fire roads, and there'll be some navigation involved as well. And we all got excited about it, and just want to see how we go against the cars as well. A bit of bragging rights there, doesn't hurt. One
car of note this season is Eli Evans' two-wheel drive Honda Civic Type R. Eli is a proven driver, but this will be the first real test against the 4-wheel drives.
I think first run over the stages on the ball-bearing surface, being car 2, is going to be challenging. I've still got a lot to learn. I haven't done a lot of Ks in the car, but I think the second run, the Hondas, you really see the pace of the Honda really come out there.
I believe this European prepared car will certainly open some eyes. Now, it has been raining here for the last couple of days, but with the skies clearing, it's going to set the scene for 2 days of fantastic competition.
And the competition as it stands after round 1 sees Scott Pedder with a 17-point margin over the reigning champions, with Justin Dowell in third on 52. Despite an up and down round 1, Eli Evans bagged 50 points, 7 ahead of Mark Pedder. Steve Shepherd slips in behind fellow Queenslander Ryan Smart, with Glen Raymond only managing 26 points after a disappointing start to the season in the new Evo 10. But this round is all new and begins right in the heart of Busselton for the super special stages around the foreshore, a stage where events can be rarely won, but easily lost.
A small little brake issue this morning that at the end of the main straight we just tagged the barrier, so not a perfect start to the event for us, but we've actually done that before in testing and had a good result, so it might be a positive omen for us.
By dusk, the cars are flagged away in packets of 3. Eli Evans and Scott Pedder joining Simon Evans for the opening stage.
Turn fast right 3 line. 150.
The older Evans sets the early pace in the Tank Former's Impreza. Brother Eli struggling to match the four-wheel drive pace, nearly 2 seconds behind, and now a gun-shy Scott Pedder off by 1.5 seconds. Justin Dowell is the quickest of the next 3 cars on track, leading the way from a neat and tidy Glen Raymond and a not-so-neat Darren Windus. The surprise is Ryan Smart in the 3rd group on stage, not only beating the times of Mark Pedder and Nathan Quinn, but setting a time that earns him 2nd fastest on the 1st stage of Heat 1. No problems also for Steve Shepherd in the Oztech Suspension Evo 10, 6th quickest through SS2, with no shying away from a corner that bit him hard here last year. Roman Watkins lifts 5 places to 10th in the reverse run. He too suffered a light scrape on the bodywork earlier in the day. But the biggest loser for the night is Glen Raymond. After less than 3 minutes of competition, he and brother Matt contemplate their rally so far.
Don't know what that is. Oh no.
With cars locked down in Parc Fermé for the night, there's nothing more they can do but look and wonder. At the other end of the field, a jubilant Justin Dowell celebrates his 1st stage win in an ARC event.
Everyone wants to, to win this stage. It's there's a lot of Toyota pride at stake and so on with the Super 2000s and so on. Toyota won this stage every year for 10 years, and Simon, won the first one and we won the second one. So it's awesome.
But what was awesome was Darren Windus. The crowd had come to see action, and it was the man from Perth in the Ground Force Rentals S2000 who delivered. Certainly no ground force in play here.
Went a bit hot in down the bottom end there, and we were doing it all day today at the media day this morning and that, and just it wouldn't turn in. The tyres are still a bit cold. We sort of give it a little bit of handbrake, and then the front did bite, and we ended up running over that inside gutter, and it tipped it about 45 degrees on the side. So we got it back down. And there's so much to be lost here, you don't realise until something like that happens. So yeah, no, but we put on a show for the spectators, so that's what we're here for.
Heat 1 of the Quit Forest Rally continues next morning in Nannup, nestled in the heart of Blackwood Valley, 40 minutes to the east of Busselton. But before that is service, the only chance to prepare cars and remedy problems from last night, and a critically short time for Glen Raymond.
This is only a 20-minute service, but by the time you drive in, drive out, realistically they only got 16 minutes, so the guys are working as hard as they can. We've still got a fair bit of time to play with, but every minute we're late, that's a 5-second penalty, so it's time on the stages that we really didn't need to lose.
After just a handful of ARC events last year, Nathan Quinn's first time on the West Coast started slowly last night, hovering around the top 10 in a car only finished last week.
Spencer Lowndes' old Evo 9. We used it in the Repco Rally Australia. Unfortunately, wheel sheared off and we wrote the car off, so it was a good excuse to get a paint job. Along with that, about every other panel was replaced, and yeah, so it's hopefully it's right to go. It's our 4th event in the car, first time over here, and hopefully it'll be our first shot at the full championship minus Tasmania, of course. We're trying to back up for a good result in Coffs Harbour, which is the next round, which is my hometown.
Mark Pedder readies for his first time on gravel after a break from rallying, but is happy with the lead-up.
My car's all good. Had a couple of little issues last night on the runs, but boys have fixed it up this morning and we're all good to go.
The approach to the weekend?
Yeah, first day conservative because it's 5 years since I've been on gravel, so we'll just get through today, see how our time's going, and we'll might have a push tomorrow.
Go, 59 right on brow.
But push is just what younger brother Scott
right
does from the start of Kinky.
200, brow, 6 right late.
He's 5 seconds clear of the field over the 11.5 kilometre SS3.
Into right for sharp.
The Tank Former Subaru is next quickest. Simon and Sue Evans guiding the car through the stage with ease.
Flat left. 100. Right 1, left 2.5 long.
short right, 2.5. Left 3, keep in.
As Eli Evans predicted, his Honda Civic Type R makes a slow start to the first gravel stage.
Left 2 long for 70.
The sound is spectacular through the forest, but the sensation of speed, listening to the high-revving VTEC engine, is deceptive. At a maximum 8,700 RPM, it is a sweet sound. But Evans and co-driver Glen are 25 seconds off the pace. Very much on the pace, despite his 30-second penalty for checking out of service late, is Glen Raymond. With a replacement diff hastily installed this morning, brothers Glen and Matt push the Raymond Partners Mitsubishi through SS3, just a second shy of Simon Evans. But the new diff is not handling as Glen would like.
I think I got a flat already. 5 left line into 6 right tightens 4 half. It's ridiculous.
It isn't a flat, but the distraction is something he could do without.
4 half left mid.
A little too much eagerness from Ryan Smart in the Sports Evo. He grabs reverse and a little of the limelight and scorches off to make a top 10 appearance in his first time on gravel in the new car.
Into short 8 left, into short 6 right.
Justin Dowell might have finished on a high last night, but his first stage this morning brings him crashing back to earth. A mysterious noise from the drivetrain was isolated to loose transfer case bolts. Although rectified in the morning service, Justin's worst fears are being realised.
We sort of knew we had a problem last night because the transfer case was leaking, but we were hoping that it might have been something simple. So we come in this morning and found that the transfer bolts were loose. So the problem is the damage was probably already done. So when we went to start off the line this morning, the car pretty much pulled to the left and had no real significant front drive.
Very long 5 right.
The Pettis Suspension Evo 9 again slices up the competition through SS4. But the Evans are just 4 seconds behind over the 24-kilometre stage.
Flat left, then crest into right 2 sharp. 100, right 2.5 slippy.
Windus and Allen are the best of the rest, nearly 30 seconds further afield.
Turning fast 2 left up here, wide exit.
Despite the gap back from the leaders, the Ground Force Rentals S2000 moves from 5th to 3rd outright by stage end.
The 5 left cut opens flat 80.
Glen Raymond hangs on to the front runners in a car becoming harder and harder to control. The sister Evo 10 Oztec suspension is right on his tail, and Steve Shepherd is finally getting the car moving.
Going well. We've been stepping it up a little bit this weekend, trying to concentrate on the fastest parts of the road.
Flat right 50, flat left, then right entry, late 6 left repeating.
Last year was a hard learning curve for us, and this year we sort of come here and we know the car's working well, and I know the car can do the job, so it was a case of me stepping up a little bit, and we've done that, and I think we can step up more as the weekend goes on.
Shepherd's performance in Ferndale rewards him with 4th outright after 4 stages, a personal best in an ARC heat to date. Roman Watkins, on the other hand, drops off the radar in SS4 after a promising start this morning in the opening gravel stage.
We've had a few problems on the stages this morning, which has seen us drop 2 minutes on Ferndale, which is the second super special stage today. We actually thought we had a rare flat. We probably got a few things wrong with the setup on the car, and you know, we've made a poor judgment call, so it really cost us dearly.
Well, when it rains, it pours.
Then 1 left uphill, open.
But if Watkins thought he had problems, it was nothing compared to Mark Pedder, who barely makes it to the finish.
The finish is just there.
The number 2 Pettis Suspension Evo does make the finish, but it's all Mark and co-driver Catherine Smallbone can do to encourage their car across the line.
Come on!
The scheduled 20-minute service break in Nannup is welcome relief for the pair, who will make the start of SS5 after replacing the rear diff. Ryan and Rebecca Smart also make it out of SS4, but with the telltale signs of a close encounter with the local wildlife. The sibling combo is lucky to survive with no mechanical damage to their Sports Evo.
100, Hug extreme long, 6 right. Keep in on the exit.
Justin Dowell and Matt Lee bounce back in Stage 5, Heat 1 of the Quit Forest Rally. The Victorians, 4th quickest and on the same second as Roman Watkins and Glen Raymond, who share 8 minutes 39.3 seconds over the 15-kilometre Ellis Special Stage. In determined drives by both, their third equal sees them trailing the faster competitors, Pedder and Evans.
100.
For Simon, the return of Scott Pedder has put a spark back in his drive. Under constant pressure from the one-time factory driver, Evans is working harder than ever to stay in touch with our Heat 1 leader.
Bit of evidence of shortcut that you've got there on the grill.
Yeah, we've got a few little cuts in there that is overgrown, and the old road's still there, and the new road goes around the overgrown sections. So a bit of experience from 5 or 6 years ago, I suppose. But yeah, it was probably a little bit of time in there.
Every little bit counts, and Pedder extends his lead to 12 seconds coming into the 6th stage of the heat. But the tank former's Subaru minimises the damage to stay in touch, just over a second slower through the 10-kilometre Healthway stage. Perhaps cutting the corner was the difference. Whatever the case, Evans maintains his sense of humour.
Is there something more in the T-shirt?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like, I hate coming second, and I watched that movie and I just thought it was hilarious. We got the T-shirts made up, but you know, today we're coming second and I don't like it, so we're working real hard at the moment, making a few changes on the car. Scotty's driving really well, so we've got our work cut out for us.
Eli Evans accurately predicted just how difficult the transition from four-wheel drive to two-wheel drive would be. His times this morning reflecting the difficulty the front-wheel drive Honda has on the loose surface.
Well, the main difference I come to realise is in 4th gear in this car, the car's still wheel spinning trying to find traction, where a 4-wheel drive you can be in 1st gear and it will sling you out of a corner. So it makes life a little bit tricky, especially on the Perth roads, the ball-bearing surfaces. So I'm looking forward to getting out there on the swept runs and picking up the pace a little bit and closing the gap between some of the 4-wheel drives.
Turning fast, free ride here, 80.
Darren Windus picks up the pace through Healthways, but surrenders 3rd for the stage to Glen Raymond. Despite the less than perfectly handling car, and save for the Pedder-Evans fight up front, Ramo is maintaining his presence, leading the rest of the field through SS6. Justin Dowell and Matt Lee have struggled back into the competition after their mechanical issues this morning. A 2-minute 20 time penalty for being late out of service means their rally for this heat is run.
Turn 2 right narrow, don't cuts.
Michael Bowden from Warhope in northern New South Wales has come a long way to be penalised from the beginning, but that's just what's happened. Forced to replace a broken rear diff before the first gravel stage this morning, Bowden has been in catch-up all day.
Something we really didn't plan on happening because, you know, we've done a lot of work on the car to try and change it, and having not driven it enough practice-wise and to sort of shake down, it's one of these things that happened.
At a point where Eli Evans might be hopeful of gaining some ground, he too has a setback, which effectively ends his heat.
Yeah, it seems coming into service we had a bit of a squeak in the engine bay, and it turns out when we come in and had a look underneath, the power steering pulley is actually fractured. It's like a mag wheel. It's got it's like a 5-star spoke sort of thing, and 4 of them are fractured and actually broken. One was holding it on, so if we had continued on and not pulled it out and tried to repair it, there was a good chance that we might have lost the motor, because it's also the water pump runs on that belt as well. So we have to fix it, unfortunately, which is going to cost us a decent result in this heat.
Special stages 7 and 8 are straight repeat runs of Kinky and Ferndale, an ideal chance for drivers to improve on the previous times. 50 cars and motorbikes have swept the roads clear of much of the loose gravel, and everyone should be aiming for faster times. Darren Windus pushes the S2000 and closes to within 2 seconds of Simon Evans, but only 0.1 of a second separates him from Glen Raymond, who hangs on for 4th fastest through the repeat run. Nathan Quinn is 5 seconds further back, but makes his presence felt, breaking into the fastest 5 on stage. Up front, though, it's all Scott Pedder, 7.5 seconds clear of his rival, as we jump on board for a ride to see how he and Evans handle this 11-kilometre stage. John Mortimer calling the way for Scott, while Sue Evans calls the notes for Simon.
Go. 100. Flat right long doubles. 100.
50.
Pass right,
Flat
2.5 long.
200. Brow, 6 right late.
50.
Into 6 left.
Pass left, 2.5.
Into 6 left. 200.
Then flat left.
2
100.
left.
Fast left, 4 long.
2 left. Into long 4 right.
Then right 3 very long.
Into
Then
3
left 3
left.
sharp. 50.
100.
Flat
9
left
left
long.
entry. 8 right on crest.
50.
9 left
Caution.
entry.
Flat
8
left
right
into
on
turn.
crest.
Fast right 2
50,
before
9
through.
right.
Very long.
80 turns 7 right.
100. Turn fast right 2 sharp.
100. Brake. 10 right.
50.
4 left over crest entry. 0 right. 4 left
Caution.
over crest
Flat
entry,
right. Left 2.5
0
late.
right.
Into right 4 sharp. Hold on inside.
100.
100.
200.
Flat crest. Then fast right 2
10
stay
left.
in. 150.
210 left. 9 right.
Slippy flat left.
300 stop.
Right
9
2 late. 1 finish.
Good job.
200 to stop.
Well done. But 4th gear. Yeah, I've never done get the this before.
While the wider open roads of Kinky may have suited the Mitsubishi, Ferndale is more to the Subaru's liking, and Evans sneaks in front by a whisker. While Pedder is using medium compound Kumo tyres, Evans has stuck with the hards, and the resulting time to bring the rubber up to temperature after each service might be costly
50.
for the defending
Fast right,
champ.
2.5 late.
Darren Windus again brings the Ground Force Rentals Corolla home in third, consolidating this position outright for the heat. Ryan and Rebecca Smart are on the money in SS8, their Corolla Sportivo, delivering them their best result today. 4th quickest, ahead of Justin Dowell.
Cut, turn 1 right, cut.
Nathan Quinn is right on his tail through the 24k stage,
100.
elevating himself to 5th outright for the heat.
Dip, 30, late 3 left, half round.
There are just the short sprint stages around Nannup to come to wrap up Heat 1 of Round 2 of the Australian Rally Championship. The Quick Rally is anchored in the timber and tourist township of Nannup, and while the last 2 repeat runs through the sprint stages will not affect the result unduly, the locals have turned out to see the cars in action.
Mate, we've been chasing our tail all day. It's been a real interesting day. We would have liked to have been up a bit more at the front, but look, haven't done a rally for a year. Well, I've got to keep that into consideration, and, we went out on a setup that was based on Michelin tyres because we couldn't test on Wednesday. So, look, we've been making adjustments all day, and I think we've pretty well got it. Well, we thought we got it right. We did a pretty good time in Kinky there, and then everyone just hosed us. Well, not everyone. Scotty and Simon have just gone and blitzed us in Ferndale. We got to the end of that and gone, how the hell did they get 15 seconds on us there? But anyway, look, we're happy that we're back on the pace this afternoon, so we can go in tomorrow with a heap of confidence and try and keep up with them tomorrow.
Keeping up with them today is not an issue. Windus winning the first run through the short sprint track in front of the local crowd. Less than 2 seconds back is Scott Pedder, but such
20.
is the competition in this sprint stage that Pedder
5
turns
left
in his
entry,
worst
6 right.
position to date, 11th place. And on the official Kumo Tyres Heat 1 ladder, it goes to Scott Pedder, who's dominated all day, 20 seconds clear of Simon Evans. There's a huge margin back to Darren Windus, with Ryan Smart and Nathan Quinn rounding out the 5 fastest cars in the ARC for Heat 1. Throughout the day, the motos and quads have been racing across the same special stages as the cars. Although the bikes run in various mixed events around the world, especially the longer endurance-style safaris, this is the first time they've lined up alongside cars in the Australian Rally Championship. Like the rally cars, these bikes are specially built for this type of endurance and off-road racing. with engine capacities up to 570cc and developing 55 horsepower at the rear wheel, riders reach top speeds up to 170 kilometres an hour in super quick time. Their power-to-weight ratio makes for impressive acceleration. And if you think they're crazy, what about the quads?
I love the quads. Those guys on the bikes are nuts. I think I'll do that when I'm older.
If it's been an experiment, then by all accounts, it's been a success and certainly adds a new dimension to an ARC event. And these guys don't have anyone calling their pace notes.
The navigation on these special stages, it's not as critical as Safari. Safari's navigation is probably 95% of the Safari is over speed. It sounds unusual, but if your navigation's spot on, you'll always get a good finish in Safari. Here, the navigation in the controls is really important to actually make it to the stage, that's a bit of fun. A couple of our competitors got lost, but during the stages, it's more along the lines of just, for the guys, the new guys here, it's really good for them because they can navigate without having to worry about getting too lost while actually in the stage.
Conversely, the teamwork involved in rallying a car is considerable. It's not just calling the notes that is important. Often the co-driver manages the team, leaving the driver to concentrate on what he or she does best.
The trick to winning a rally is to win at the safest and slowest possible speed. It's no good having a massive lead going into the last stage and throwing it off on the final corner because the driver is still going at 10/10. The co-driver needs to know everything about the driver, ability, moods and temperament, because while they're fanging through these forests at over 200 kilometres an hour, there is no room to doubt each other's ability. And that is probably why the current champions are so good.
After a year, I think I caught on that he did his thing, I did my thing. It wasn't about being married, but at the same time it was so similar to being married because of the whole trust, and I can sometimes preempt what this guy's going to do, and you almost know how he might drive a stage by the way he'll go into it even before we get to the start line. So yeah, it's sort of freakishly like being married.
I've, for instance, been rallying with Justin now for, we're moving into our 9th year together. And, you know, as our teamwork has grown, the relationship has grown, we've become very good mates. It began with nothing more than, you know, like a lot of co-driving roles. Somebody calls you up and says, would you like to co-drive for this guy?
7 right over crest.
Most drivers have 3 speeds. Normally a comfortable rate is around 80 to 85%, and that's where most teams will run. A good co-driver can determine from here where the team will finish compared to the opposition's times.
You end up being, I suppose, the gauge of what level we're at and what the circumstance of a particular race is. So if we are leading and we have a good lead, then the level maintains, I guess, for Simon, somewhere driving at 90%, say.
At 90 to 95%, the co-driver must have total confidence in the driver's ability. At these speeds, the co-driver needs to recognise and provide feedback to the driver about how they're going.
You know, Justin likes to sit himself in that pocket of 99/10 or so, and that's when you know he's in tune with the car and everything's just flowing, and there's no mistakes and there's no fuss and there's no, you know, there's no huffs or puffs or any kind of strange noises from the car from either of us.
The final level is by far the most risky. At nearly 100% or 10/10, there is no room for error and is usually only used to ensure a win. Here, the co-driver must be right on the money and able to pull the driver back if the pace needed to win is too dangerous to warrant the risk.
What we also have is what we call the comeback drive, which Simon can do a very, very good comeback drive, and a comeback drive is 11/10. And it is, and the joke is, are we on a comeback drive, or how many seconds per kilometre do I need to make up? Now, this would have come about if we'd have a flat tyre or a moment, or God forbid, hit something. You need to tighten up the belts. You know how he's going to drive, and in my opinion, Simon drives better on a comeback drive or at 11/10.
While there are plenty of professional rally co-drivers, the very best have consolidated their skills in a partnership with an equally skilled driver. And that may take a season or more to really come together.
we've had our ups and downs. We've had a couple of incidents along the way, but we're really comfortable with each other. We're really comfortable with pace notes. We're comfortable with our team and the whole concept of going rallying in the ARC.
Next stop for teams in the Quick Forest Rally is back in Busselton for the start of Heat 2 on the Super Special stage under lights. But before that, it's back to the future for John Brunsma's brand new VE Commodore. Built just to compete in the Australian Rally Championship, but not seriously to give Simon Evans a fright.
Probably not giving others a fright, but co-driver and myself, quite a few today already. When two-tonner vehicle starts moving sideways down a gravel road, that starts getting exciting, and that's purely and simply what it is. It's just the enjoyment of putting the car out there. It's something different for promotion and something different for people to look at.
Now with the resources and passion to fulfil his dream of competing in the Australian Rally Championship, John plans to do just that in 2011. He might not ever win against Evans or Pedder, but he reckons he's on to a winner with the crowd.
No problem whatsoever. We're most of the time sideways, so it's pretty good.
Meantime, Simon Evans has laid down the groundwork in a solid start to the second heat with wins in both stages. Brian Smart is also Mr. Consistent, making the top three both runs. Darren Windus is the best from the West, just 0.4 of a second behind Evans on SS11, but is relegated to fourth next round by Justin Dowell, who turns in third quickest time of the night.
Look, we needed to match up the stage again, so we had a chance of winning the rally, and it was really important last night to go out and win those two stages. So, look, Scotty won yesterday's heat, but we're on an even par for stage wins. So basically, whoever wins today is going to take out the rally.
The stage is set for a great day of competition in Heat 2 of the Quick Forest Rally. Evans has shifted from hard to medium compound tyres today, so competition has been evened up.
I know Scott's like me. I want to race when everyone's at their best, and I want to win at that time. I don't want to win because Scott has a problem or someone else has a problem. That's a hollow victory. When you win races and it's at full tilt, and at the end of the day you win by 0.1 of a second, they're the races you want to win.
Eli Evans, on the other hand, is more concerned with gaining experience in the Type R Civic. If his temporarily repaired pulley holds together today, it's another chance to show what the Honda can do.
I think these roads, if they dry out a little bit, sounds funny, but they're actually more slipperier, so because the rocks move around a lot more, the looser rocks. So I can't wait to get on a swept road because I didn't make it yesterday. We had 4 loose surfaces, so I'm really looking forward to getting on a repeat of a stage.
And after his frustrations of mechanical dramas yesterday, Mark Pedder is still upbeat about the second heat.
I could be sitting back at my office, but I'm out rallying, so still really enjoyable, still with a great group of guys. So no, even though it is extremely frustrating not to finish, still a heap of fun.
Mark Pedder's position overnight is quickly swallowed up through the 19-kilometre Brockman stage. He drops to 6th outright, but stays in touch with the top 5.
Right, idiot.
That 5 started the day with Simon Evans 1 and Scott Pedder 5. But the Pedder suspension entry quickly moves up the order to sit just 3.7 seconds behind Evans by stage end, despite a couple of hairy moments.
Big moments on Brockman, just pushing too hard into the sun, with a bit of sun glare there. So, yeah, Simon's picked up his pace today for sure. We're a bit messy, so cars all over the place, so we've got to make some changes and try and get back on the pace. We've dropped a second there and a 1.6 before, so it's going to be an interesting day.
By his own admission, Glen Raymond is not so hot on the tarmac, and last night's Super Special stages saw him struggle to get into the top 10. But this morning, he's on fire in a less than perfectly handling car.
Right over crest cut.
With Evans and Pedder locked in their own battle, Raymond sets the pace for the remainder of the field. 17 seconds adrift, but 7 clear of the Smarts.
The car's not handling at all. Like, can't turn in at low speed and then it's oversteering at high speed. So, tell you what, there's exciting moments, but the pace at the front is really, really hot. So, I'm not going to be able to catch them, definitely not with the car like this, but those guys are driving out of their mind, so I'm just happy to try and get a finish, especially after yesterday's efforts.
Justin Dowell completes the fastest 5 for the first stage, with Roman Watkins the quickest of the local entries. .8 of a second separates Evans and Pedder through SS14 as the lead battle continues. Evans on top now by 4.5 seconds. Justin Dowell carries his good tarmac form onto the gravel this morning and completes the stage to remain in the top 5 outright. Driving at this pace requires commitment, and come the very next stage, aptly named Folly, it becomes just that.
Unfortunately, we just a bad setup. We've got the heavy sway bars in, and we should have the soft ones in, and the suspension's just too hard. So we dropped probably, I don't know, 25, 30 seconds in there because we ran off the road. The car stalled twice. So yeah, not a good day.
For Darren Windus, it's an overshoot as well on 13 that brings him unstuck.
I went straight on at a hairpin right-hand turn, and with these sequential gearboxes, we're in 4th gear coming down the hill, and you've got to go right back through the gears before you can get reverse. So the car's stalled, and we were sort of up against the bank, and yeah, we lost probably 30 seconds in that first stage. I don't know what this one was like.
But his recovery through 14 sees him lift 3 places to be 6th outright by service in Nannup. The change to setup on the Pedder suspension Evo pays off. Scott Pedder wins his first stage of the heat by 2.5 seconds from Simon Evans. The deficit by the end of the 10-kilometre stage is narrowed to just 2 seconds.
Then flat crest 200.
Glen Raymond sneaks back into 3rd outright by just 0.4 of a second after a clean run, less than 2 seconds slower than Justin Dowell. Chris Anderson and Ben Searcy have been consistently running between 8th and 12th for most of the Quick Forest Rally, with their shining light special stage 4 yesterday. The WA pair was 5th quickest amongst some serious competition. Heat 2 is no easier, and the WA pairing is again around 10th until Healthways Loop. Up front, the balance of power in the Quick Forest Rally shifts in SS16 from Evans to Pedder when unusual noises start coming from the Impreza drivetrain.
What's that noise?
Gearbox.
2 things are now important: preserving the gearbox and not letting Scott Pedder know he has a problem. After all the effort in the Raymond Partners Evo 10 to keep their badly handling car in touch at the front, the wheels fall off their campaign with the exhaust mid-stage.
You hear that? Yeah. 6 left, 4 half right, tightens 3 half, into 6 left. Whoa!
Fortunately for them, it happens near the end of stage, but with no service due till after SS17, the brothers are forced to nurse the car through the repeat run of Brockman. This and a badly bent front strut have really made for a testing rally for Glen Raymond. The highs and lows of the active laundry liquid rally team take a decided low in the repeat run through Ellis. Both are okay, but certainly a weekend Dowell and Lee would prefer to forget.
Can you get anything? No. Dead?
Yep.
Okay.
Get out.
Yep.
Nathan Quinn grabs the advantage and 6th for the stage, elevating him to 8th outright and just 3 stages to go.
We had no confidence this morning, but we're slowly getting it back. So, but it's a bit late, so Dow crashed out, so we'll just, yeah, no, we're pretty happy now.
Fastest time so far?
Yeah, so yeah, getting better.
Watkins is 5 seconds slower and will need to keep on the pace if he's to hold Quinn out to the end of the heat.
The conditions are very tricky. Yeah. We have no centre diff, which makes the car a hell of a handful, but you know, we're still here. So things are only improving slowly.
Eli Evans also benefits from the demise of others. The repaired pulley is holding, and his confidence in his new car is growing every stage.
The car's dancing around a lot. It's hard to keep the confidence up and keep pushing through the corners, but we're learning every stage we do. But I think Simon and Scotty are still learning too. They're going faster and faster as well, and we're sort of gauging off them of how far we are behind. I can't seem to close the gap at the moment.
Steve Shepherd has been struggling to make an impression on the leaderboard in Heat 2, but the Oztech suspension entry is moving slowly up the leaderboard.
Picking it up, I think we're starting to go a bit harder. I noticed a few boys falling off the road. Petter's stopped in. Oh, here he comes now. He has pulled up in there, and Dow went off in the one before us, and one of the boys behind us rolled. And so it's not necessarily a case of just getting home, because we want to go faster, so we'll just keep going.
And keeping going is something Mark Petter's been trying to do.
Yeah, we stopped in the middle of the stage for about 5 minutes with the same fuel pump drama as yesterday, so happy days.
The battle for first is titanic. At the start of this stage, Simon Evans trailed Scott Petter by just 0.4 of a second. But his gearbox issues have really put the pressure on.
Nah, not anymore.
Gearbox is gone.
That's rallying.
There we go.
Thank you.
Anything can happen in rallying, and often does. Very next stage, Scott Petter cuts one corner just too close.
10 right on brow. 10 right on brow. 30. 8 right late. 30. 8 right late. Into 10 left. Flat tyre.
He and John Mortimer finished the stage, but the 15-second advantage they gained over Simon last stage is handed back, and they trail by 2 going into the penultimate stage of the Quit Forest Rally.
You're only 4 seconds down. 50 flat right.
Without the use of fifth gear, Simon is nursing the Impreza to make the finish. With Petter slowed by a puncture, he only narrowly misses winning the stage. That accolade goes to Ryan and Rebecca Smart by just 1.4 seconds.
9 right after brow.
After a weekend of trials and tribulations, Mark Petter recovers to be third fastest over the repeat 10Ks of Healthway Loop. With the rally closing rapidly, Darren Windus concedes that his performance this weekend hasn't been as bad as he thought.
We thought we were like 3 days behind this morning after that spin, like, half a minute in an event like this is just, it's days. So, we're quite happy with ourselves that we can come back and do an event and still be a front runner in the Australian Championship.
9 left.
As expected, Scott Petter is back 50 on the pace and takes the stage by 5 seconds over Simon Evans, 80, who is still squeezing everything he can from the 4 remaining gears in the tank former's Impreza. But Scott Petter knows his opposition will not lie down and pushes last year's championship-winning car hard.
Good, well done.
Can I beat us in there, do you reckon?
Nah.
Well, Simon Evans has other thoughts. Somehow, without top gear and in a fantastic display of driving, he beats Scott by 0.2 of a second to win the stage. In a drive over the 15 kilometres that can only be described as consummate Evans, under pressure to the very end. After 214 kilometres of competition, Simon and Sue Evans nearly pull off the impossible. Despite the handicap of a broken gearbox, the duo concede the heat win by just 2.1 seconds, leaving a surprisingly upbeat Simon Evans.
Their pace was pretty good through those last few stages. The gearbox is incredible. I can't believe it held up. It's amazing. Testament to modern engineering, to go through there with missing 5th and 4th is definitely on its way out, but somehow it's just hung on. So I'm pretty happy to be at the end, but still got to get to the podium. But no, this is really good.
Take nothing away from Scott Petter and John Mortimer, who have driven the backside off their Mitsubishi Evo 9.
I should have known it was Simon, so he gave it all. That would have been a good ride without 5th gear, I can tell you. So it means we've won the rally, which is fantastic for us. I've been coming to this rally for a long time and should have won it back in 2003 or 4, but Poston got me on the last stage, so it's just fantastic to win such a great rally.
So with Scott Petter and Simon Evans' domination at the top of the Kumho Tyres leaderboard, Heat 2 results reveal Ryan Smart clear of Darren Windus and Nathan Quinn rounding out the final 5 in Heat 2. Roman Watkins, 6th today in the National Championship and 2nd in the state competition. The ARC spoils in the top 10 are shared between Glen Raymond, Steve Shepherd and Eli Evans. And the Kumho Tyres Future Champions Award goes to Michael Bowden and Helen Cheers from Warhope. For their efforts this weekend, they pick up 2 sets of Kumho tyres and also the lead in the ARC Premier category. Maximum points for Scott Petter again this weekend. Darren Windus is third on the clock, but with a third and fourth each heat, he and Ryan Smart share equal points, with Nathan Quinn on 44. In overall terms, Scott Petter extends his lead over Simon Evans after 2 rounds, but the gauntlet is laid for a fantastic championship this year, with plenty of depth in competition from the new guard eager to make a name for themselves. The series continues at the Coffs Coast Rally in New South Wales on May 14 to 16.
You know, it's just going to be an unbelievable year. You know, you've got the 2 of us going hammer and tong, and guys behind that are trying to catch up.
Yeah, this is what racing's all about, and hopefully the crowds will support it and come out and watch, because it's a hell of a fight.